Welcome to day 2 of our challenge. In the last episode, we treated 2 steps to transform our attitude into action. So the third step on how to transform our attitude into actions is you have to learn how to keep your bad attitude. Identify through self-awareness the attitude that holds you back or propel you forward. Once you realize that your attitude is everything and you've already make a choice to change your attitude, the next thing is you have to discover which attitude do you have. It's relatively easy to spot someone with a bad attitude, unless of course that someone is you. If you haven't been getting what you want out of life, if you feel stuck, overlooked, unappreciated or unfulfilled, it could be that you've picked up an attitude that is holding you back. It is very easy for you to see the bad side of every other person except yourself. In the study of human personality, it is called hidden self. I don't know if you've seen someone that behave in a way, maybe after a while someone approached them and accused them of that. Maybe that person abused someone. After a while, someone approached that person and said, you that you don't even know how to talk to people, all you do is abuse people. And the person will feel like, me abuse people, that is the least that I can do. Believe me, the person is sincere. That is the least the person can do. It's not aware of that. It has that kind of attitude. This is why you have to do attitude assessment, for you to know which attitude is holding you back or which attitude is hidden from you. The ability to recognize our feelings as they come over us is called self-awareness, and it is critical to our development in highly mobile, fast-changing and complex society. Self-awareness allows you to be aware of your emotions and attitude. Knowing yourself and understanding what drives your attitude and emotions is the first step to self-knowledge and self-control. A man that is not aware of his attitude will never know how to control it. If someone is aggressive and that person is not aware of such attitude, and people are reacting to such attitude at his working place, you will feel like, why are people treating me bad? I'm not a bad person. Why is my boss doing this to me? Maybe that person has some level of pride in him and is not aware of that. He might be doing things and he feel like this is not the normal way of doing things, but he's doing it out of pride and he's not even aware of it. And because of that, people at his working place is reacting to that kind of attitude. A person is suffering from that because he's not aware of that attitude. Self-awareness is the ability to know the kind of emotions that we have and knowing things that actually trigger these emotions. When you practice self-awareness, you give yourself far control of your actions. This control gives you options. You can decide not to react to negative emotions. Instead, you can develop a positive attitude that allows you to let go of the emotions. Being aware of your attitude gives you options. It helps you to make a choice. Remember the second step. Attitude is a choice. So being aware of your attitude helps you to make a choice. If you are not aware of your attitude, the moment it is triggered, you just let it out just like that. You just release it without you being aware of it. If I'm aggressive, if I have pride, and I have self-awareness that I have all these things, by the time I want to relate with people, when I'm talking to people, I will be conscious of my choice of word, my body language, my reactions. I will be conscious of them because I'm already aware of some shortcomings in my attitude. There are some attitudes that we formed in our life, or this current state to which we are in our life is because of things that happened to us in the past. There was a time that my business was suffering because of a turning point in my life, and I was making money. I was making cool money, enough for someone of my age to actually live a very comfortable life. I wasn't conscious of my spending. I just spend the money anyhow. And the funniest thing is that I cannot even calculate how I spend the money. And because of that, my business take a down slope so deep down. And because of that, I start looking to myself, what happens? Where did I get it from? And I realized that it's because I'm not conscious of the way I handle money. I did not hold myself back to that. When I realized that the problem is that I lack the knowledge of how to make money, I lack that financial knowledge, I have to learn it. And I have to find a way to bring back my business. And even right now, I'm not in the state where my business functions. And to the glory of God, my business is functioning very well. I look for the problem. I list the attitude that actually brought me down, and I'm trying to overcome them so I can bring myself to that level at which I want to be again. The things that has happened in the past, let them be in the past. Learn from them and move on. Just pick the lesson, pick the message, and move ahead. You don't have to be dragging your past experience with you up and down. There are 3 types of bad attitude record that will carry all along. The first one is if only baggage. If only I've thought before I said that. If only I've stayed in school. If only I've listened to my parents. If only I've taken precautionary measures. If only I've spent a lot of time with my children. Something happened and you ask yourself, if only. And because you did not do that, you now hold yourself hostage to that. You now start blaming yourself. Maybe you are a child and your parents divorced and you are like, if only as a child you tried your best to actually make things work, maybe your parents will still be together. You don't have to blame yourself for that. You don't. It is not your fault that they break up. And even if it is your fault, you must have learned a lesson from that and prevent your family from experiencing the same thing in the future. The second one is, what now? Okay, I've secured a job. What now? I'm in my service year now. What now? I'm about to finish my service year. What now? I'm about to go into marriage. What now? I'm about to give birth to a child. What now? The fear of what will happen in the future. It is good to have a contingency plan of what will happen in the future. But when you start focusing on the problem, and whenever you ask yourself what now, what you are seeing is the problem, not the opportunity. That is what now baggage. And believe me, that is what majority of people in service years suffers. Few months to your passing out, you already put this burden on your heart. You are scared of what your after service life will look like. Don't focus on the problem. Instead, focus on, in this my 1 year, what have I learned? Where can I function? What are the things that I can do after my service year? And believe me, your ideas will come. Ideas that will transform your life, they will come. And the last one is what if baggage. What if I die before tomorrow? What if I don't make it? What if my parents die? What if this thing happen? What if this money that I want to pour into this thing, what if the business crash? Pessimistic worldview. Being pessimistic about everything. Instead of you saying that, what if you put the money into that business boom? Look into the positive side of it. We always find it easy to discuss the negative side of things before we discuss the positive side of it. And that is a sign of a weak mind. There are 5 root causes of bad attitude. And the first one is low self-esteem. Some people, because they have low self-esteem, the only way they can show themselves worthy is to look down on some people, to talk down on people. So if you find yourself looking down on people, talking down on people just for you to prove a point, you are suffering from a low self-esteem and you have to check it. And the second one is stress. Whenever we are under stress, we have our attitude change. And it's also a sign of a weak mind. If your attitude change when you are under stress, before you went under stress, you must have devised a measure to actually control your attitude. With time, some people react to situation out of stress, and when you go to them, you realize that they are not that kind of person. It is because they are under stress. Third one is fear. The fear of tomorrow, the fear of things that will happen if you try, if the fear of what will happen if you take the first step, the fear of what will happen to our future. All of these things affect our Next one is resentment and anger. Whenever someone annoys you and you keep it in your heart, no matter what you are doing, no matter how delicious the meal you are eating, when the person came in, the taste of the meal will change. No matter how much you are enjoying yourself, when the person walks into the house, immediately you set your eyes on that person, your emotion will change, your feeling will change. That is a feeling of anger and resentment. That attitude is coming from a place of resentment and anger. So you have to find a way to handle it. And the last one is inability to handle change. We don't know how to adapt to change. Okay, let me use my business as an example. When I was home, I was managing my business from home. A need arise for me to go for NYSC service. One of the things that was bothering my mind is, how am I going to manage my business? I could have just said, let me just close down the business and reopen after a year. No, that is not what I did. As a matter of fact, I'm managing my business from Cross River and I'm managing it very well and my business is going well. So when change comes, there is always another way to actually adapt to that situation. There is always a way for you to conform to that situation. At the end of this challenge, we must be able to know what are the attitudes that affect our work performance. The load of attitude that you carry, or the load of experience, the past record that you carry in your heart, the past record that you carry in your heart affects your attitude. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself. How do you respond to stressful situations? The second one is, do you tend to look at the world in a pessimistic way or in an optimistic way? The fourth step to transform our attitude into actions is that you have to change your bad attitude for good. Trade your bad attitude for good. You can't always expect others to adjust your attitude for you. Of course, certainly you can't expect them to do it in such a pleasant way. It's really something for which you need to take responsibility. Don't expect people to change it for you. It's not possible. People will deal with you according to your attitude. So you have to take responsibility. People around you cannot change it for you. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional about changing it yourself. If you are an abusive person, even when you kick a little stone by the roadside, people will look at you and laugh and say, this person can never change. Your attitude is your responsibility. No bad attitude that you have that cannot be swept out. There's no negative attitude that you have that cannot be changed. One of the ways to change your attitude is changing your perspective. The way you see things. The way you see world. Learn to learn from other people's perspective about world. Learn to learn about other people's opinion. Learn from the knowledge of other people. Change your perspective about things. Your perspective will not always be right. And the only way to make it right is that you learn from the perspective of others. Second way to change your attitude, you have to determine the value that you give to your experiences. If you are this person that came from an abusive family, that abuse in the first place doesn't have much value if you don't have value to it. It becomes more valuable in accordance to the value that you accorded to it. If you choose and you concluded in your heart that abuse is wrong, then it's going to be wrong. The third way of changing your attitude from bad to good is using the art of gratitude and forgiveness. You came from an abusive family, the first thing you have to do is that you have to forgive your father. You have to forgive your mother. That is the first thing that you have to do. Be grateful for things that they did for you. You have to learn to forgive yourself too. Just like me, I have to forgive myself for that spending. Yes, I have to find a way to forgive myself and to do better. Self-forgiveness and forgiving people that have hurt you and being grateful for things that has happened in your life is a way of changing your bad attitude to good one.